Hi there everyone, this is Julie Riley. My company is Chefs of the Future, a cooking school that comes to you with love and creativity. Today we are going to decorate some superhero cookies for some super special people. Well, first thing, we're going to unpack our kits. Those of you that have kits. And in the kits, very carefully, you're going to unwrap each cookie. Use a scissor. Cookies, they are pretty fragile, so when you get your cookies, you could lay them out on your parchment paper. Open up your parchment paper and lay them out. I'm really excited to be doing this class today. So as everybody is doing that, you can take a look at your instruction sheets. All the information about my company is on here, and obviously you got onto YouTube because that's the little QR code. You scan these, you press the banner, and then you open up the social media. So my website is on there too, and I'm gonna have some pictures on there also under recipes. And then on the other side are just some pictures of all the emblems that we're going to be doing. There's some extra ones on here, but we're going to be doing Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and this is Captain Marvel, I think. Okay. And then we have some outbursts. We have Splat and Pow. Some of these you really can't see what the word says, and that's quite all right. I'll show you how to do them anyway. And Bam. Okay. You punch it out, and then when it cooks, it somehow disappears. All right, fantastic. And also in your kits, you have little frostings. And let's get this. Then you have 2 frostings in cups and some black sanding sugar. So we're going to open that up too. We're going to open everything up. I highly recommend working with a towel or wet paper towels or baby wipes. All right, so here's I did make it kind of wet because when we work with frosting, your fingers get a little sticky, maybe a little messy. I know a couple of ways to clean them, but I know I don't recommend it when I'm cooking to lick your fingers, so try to resist and just wipe your hands. There'll be plenty to eat later on. Okay, so I'm going to unwrap frostings. I wrap them in plastic, especially since we ship them. I didn't want them to get dried out. Okay, that's 2. And also I gave you these little popsicle sticks, and there's a couple of toothpicks in there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that open also. Get my workstation all ready. So the popsicle sticks are for spreading icing, and sometimes you have to do a little detail with a toothpick is good to use. I'm going to check my icings. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do the yellow one first. So I'm just going to stir it up because as icing sits for a day, it might get a little clumpy, or it might get a little watery. Sometimes the water separates from the icing. So I'm just going to give this a nice stir up. And mine is kind of thick. I'm just going to dip the popsicle stick in water and then just swoosh it around a little bit. It'll loosen it up a little more. Not too much though. You don't want to put water in here. It'll make it too liquidy. Fabulous. So the yellow is ready. And I'll take another popsicle stick for the black. And this time I'm just going to go ahead and put a couple of drops in there. So this black is going to be to make Batman, the Batman cookie. And then I realized that there's a lot of yellow on the cookie, so that's why I gave you the yellow one also. Because Wonder Woman is mostly yellow. Now, if you noticed, I did not open up my pastry bags yet. And the cookies, we're going to be doing them, we're going to be bouncing around between the cookies because sometimes you have to put some icing down and let it dry. So we're going to be doing that and moving from cookie to cookie, and we'll go back and forth. So I hope that doesn't confuse anyone. It's because also, like, when we, like, let me just take for instance. So here's Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is all yellow. And then all these lines have to be red. So the tip on the red has to be cut just very small because we don't want to, we just want to do it very, very fine. But when we get to Superman, and Superman, the S is in red also, but there's more space to cover. So we might go and cut the tip even bigger. So we want to make sure we do the fine things first and then the bigger ones. So if we have to keep cutting this bigger and bigger, we can. So that's why we're going from cookie to cookie. Alrighty. So let's get right into this. As I said, Wonder Woman, she's going to be all yellow. And I'm just going to load up the frosting on my spatula, on my popsicle stick. And I'm going to spread it. We want this bottom tip to be defined, right? Go on the sides too. Now this is called royal icing that we're frosting with. It is just confectionery sugar and meringue powder. And meringue powder is basically egg whites and cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is a stabilizing agent. It also has acid in it. Acidic, make it acidic. Take your time when you're doing this. We're in no rush. You could be as detailed as you like. Or not. I always strive for perfection. But it's okay if something isn't quite perfect. Especially in cooking. Sometimes that's how new recipes are invented. I always love to tell my story about chocolate chip cookies. That they were invented by mistake. The baker used the wrong chocolate. They were trying to make chocolate cookies. And the chocolate didn't melt. And the chips stayed in the cookies. So you can see I'm holding this in my hand. You'd be best to keep it on the parchment. Oh, and let me show you something else too. Say you got your cookies and oops, like that just happened. Say you got your cookie and it broke. We could fix that very easily by just gluing it back together. So you're just going to put some glue in here, which is the icing. And then just put it flat and push it back together. So no fear, no worries. And we'll just let it sit on the side a little bit. Okay. Back to my Wonder Woman. Oh, I got some crumbs on her. Okay, I'll cover it up. And now I'm just going to go straight across, because that's how the lines are going to be. I think I'm going to... I just dipped this in some water and I shook it off. And it'll kind of smooth it out a little bit. Oh yeah, that's working perfect. But only one time, only one dip. So even though the designs are on the cookies, we're kind of covering them up. I'm going to put Wonder Woman down and let her dry. And I think I'm going to move on to Batman. For Batman, you do need a little plate. And we're going to take the black sanding sugar and pour it out on the plate a little bit. I don't even think you need as much as I gave you. I always try to give everybody a little bit extra in case of oopses. You know, that's what happens with me. I spill things sometimes. And I'm going to make sure that it's spread on the plate and that is as wide as my cookie. Alrighty. I'm going to keep that right in front here. So Batman, he's black, right? So we're going to cover him with black. Just try to be careful with this. I normally don't like black icing. There's so much dye in it. But you have to have black for Batman. There's really no way around it. So we're going to spread it on. And this time we want to make sure that we get all the contours. So okay, so we're going to cover this and go around and make sure we get all the points. And around we go. Just like that. Okay. So as soon as I have the whole cookie covered, like this, I'm going to dip it in the sanding sugar. So I'm just going to press it into the sanding sugar. And it's going to cover the whole cookie with sanding sugar. There we go. Look how nice that came out. It's going to be all sparkly. And we want that to dry because then we're going to outline it in yellow. So there were a couple of spots that it didn't hit. And I'm just going to pour it on. Fantastic. So again, if there's a few little spots that need to be covered up, you could do that. And later on, we're going to go and outline it in yellow. But we do want it to dry a little bit. Okay. Got a few little sanding sugars here. I'm just going to wipe down my station. And we're going to move on to this one also has a lot of yellow on it. So the star is supposed to be yellow and these are supposed to be yellow. I'm going to open up my yellow icing bag. When you snip it, I just want to snip a little bit of it. Not too big. And I'm just going to trace the star. Yeah. When you hold an icing bag, you hold it from the top. And when you might want to practice on your parchment paper or on the side someplace, when you squeeze it, you don't put the tip onto the cookie. When you're doing it, you hold it above the cookie. And then you squeeze and you pull. You kind of squeeze hard from the top. Okay. And this hand just helps control and give you control of where you're going. So I'm not squeezing with my lower hands. Yep. Now these cookies came out very rough. The cookie cutter it was difficult to get the cookie out of the cookie cutter. So the edges aren't perfectly straight, and that's okay because we're going to make up for it with the icing. When you have different colors that you're working with your icing, I always work with the lighter colors first and then go back and do the darker colors. So this too, I did all the outlines. And you can use your tip to kind of spread it a little bit by like dabbing. It's nice. Alright, so again, we have a few cookies going here at one time. They all have to dry in between. So Captain Marvel is drying. And then I'm going to move to Superman. Now Superman, you need to take a look at him. There's two different ways you could do Superman. You could do Superman, the easier way is with just red and yellow. And then a little more detailed is with the blue, red, and yellow. And the cookie cutter did not give us the greatest outline on the outside, and that's going to be the blue part. But that's okay. We could make up for it. So you have to really look at the picture and look at the cookie. So we're going to do the yellow. As I said, the yellow is going to be first. So the yellow, there's a little triangle up here. And then there's, and on here you could hardly see it, but there's a, kind of goes up. Little piece like that. And then this, I'll do it on the good cookie first. So it's over here. And then it's going to come around. And then I'm going to go back and fill it in. Oh, my See, when you hold it up like that, the cookie breaks. So try to do it flat. I'm trying to do it so you can see what I'm doing. And I just keep going round and round to fill it in. And then this piece here. And then there's a piece in here. This one looks like a fish. That one looks like a fish too, with a whale with a big tail. You see that? So does this one. I love looking at different things. It's looking at things different ways. Take your time. I hope you were all surprised with your kits. So there's also a little triangle up here. So you can see the S is going like this, and like this. And then what happens at the bottom, there's another triangle down here. That's what it looks like. Oh, I'm going to test my Batman. Since I have my yellow out, and we've been practicing with this, you might want to practice a little bit more. Squeeze really hard and kind of move it kind of fast. We're going to outline the entire Batman cookie in yellow. Try to get as close to the edge as possible. And once you start squeezing, you have to keep moving. Keep moving. And this is where you can make the details with his ears. Yes, and I touched the sanding sugar. So I'm going to go back and fix it and make the line a little thicker. I'm going to wipe my tip off because I got a little black on it. I kind of went off the edge of the cookie, so I'm going to go back with the toothpick and kind of straighten it out a little bit. Fantastic. And here's my Batman cookie. Our first one done. Okay. There it is. Right? So let's go back to Wonder Woman. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to snip my red icing. All right, and she gets outlined all the way around too, I believe. All right, and then she comes here. Down. Up. Down. Way up. Okay. And then this one just goes across. And there she is. The bottom is a little bit wider, so I just came down with these points over here and made them a little thicker. Alrighty. Isn't that great? So there she is, Wonder Woman. And we're going to add her to our finished board. Alright. Now we're going to go and move on to this Captain Marvel one. So Captain Marvel has a little bit of red over here. This point comes all the way up. So there's a little spot in here that gets red, and a little spot in here that gets red. Fantastic. I'm going to use my toothpick to get it to come to a little point and fill that in a little. So that's what that looks like. And let's see. Superman is next. So again, you can make the blue outline at the end. So we're going to make the S. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to trace all of the yellow around all the yellow pieces. I think that'll make it easiest. Now, if you look at your tip, see this piece of plastic there? I'm going to snip that because that's getting in the way. I'm not cutting the tip bigger. I'm just taking that extra piece of plastic off there. It keeps getting caught and then I can't be accurate. So now if you see how this, and then it goes like that. I just snipped that little piece off. Okay. Alright, and I'm just going to, as I said, I'm just going to make an outline around all of the yellow parts. And we kind of want to make the edge smooth. See what I'm doing? Outlining all of the yellow. And if your cookie's a little rugged, it's okay. Just gonna cover up the cookie. So, and then there are little parts where I might want to just use the toothpick to help fill in spots. If there's any holes, get it more detailed. This little piece. And if you went too far into the yellow, you could always touch it up. It's like painting over it. Okay. And then I'm going to fill in these other spots with red. And I continue to do the outlining. And then come back. Following the original lines. Fantastic. And then I'm going to go back again, as I said. if there's any little valleys. I'm just tapping it so that we don't, it's going to flatten out a little bit, and some of the lines are going to get covered up. I think I kind of like it just, well, I like it in the red and the yellow. And next I'm going to snip my blue and go back to the Captain Marvel cookie. This one, the bottom, all these little areas here have to be filled in with blue. So once again, we're outlining. We want them to come, you want the star to be outlined, right? So I think that coming from the center and then pulling outward. This is hard to do holding it in my hands. I do want to show you though closer on camera. So I'm going from the center and coming outward. And that'll give me a nice point. And then we could go back and fill in the little triangle piece. There's it here. All right. Now, what I see on this one is it also has black outlining on everything to define between these wings here. So again, we're going to snip the black, and this one, the black, we really need to snip very fine. And I always test it. Okay. All right, so everything's going to get a black outline. To accent the star. And then the wings. This is a lot of detail on this one. So what is everybody's favorite superhero? And then what I'm seeing for even more detail is there's a yellow line, a yellow outline that goes around the whole circle part. Let's show you over here. So see this yellow that goes around the whole circle part. I'm gonna try it. Oh, fantastic. Oops. Every time I pick it up when it's wet, it's very difficult. Dun, da, da, da. My son loved Batman when he was a little kid, even when he got bigger. All right, I'm going to go back to the Superman. And although I really love him like that, I'm just going to try to put the blue outline around him. So, I'm going to just go over. So even if there's hardly any cookie there, you could go over the red. And you could kind of put it on the side also if you want to. Now that line was a little wobbly for me. My hand is starting to shake. Well, that's just fantastic. I might even, if this when this cookie completely dries, I could even make the sides blue. That would make it even nicer. Like over here. And you really get the idea. So I could do a couple of sides, but I won't be able to do all of them while it's wet. Oh, that looks nice. And that will cover up any of the imperfections of the cookie. Actually, if it's down on the table, then you can fill it in. Instead of trying to hold it like I was holding it. That was very difficult. Okay, Superman has to dry now. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. When I was a kid, Superman was on every day or once a week, or I think it was every day almost. We couldn't wait to see him. All right, so now we're up to our outbursts. Splat, bam, and pow. We're going to work from the inside out. So I guess one of them I'm going to make... I'm going to do yellow writing. I think the splat. Try to follow the outline as best as you can, but it's okay if it disappeared into the cookie. You just write it. Write the word S P L A T, and all of them have exclamation points. Splat. All right, next one I'm going to do pow in blue. P. The O is down here. And I think the W is very big. In mine, I could hardly see it. Okay, it is big. I'm going to go big W. And an exclamation point. Okay. And I guess BAM is going to be in red. If your tip gets dirty, you could wipe it off if it got all crusty. So it's funny how we have to go from cookie to cookie and not do one cookie at a time. That was the biggest thing that I have to show you today. B, A, Bam. Alright. And try to use different colors on each one. I'm going to do Pal. I'm going to do yellow. So I'm going to fill in the O and the P. And then you come and you kind of fill in by the W. See, I didn't wait till it dried, so the blue is getting in, smudging a little. But once again, you outline everything. Outline. So my company is Chefs of the Future, a cooking school that comes to you. My mission statement is to empower children through food preparation, reinforcing math and art, science, cultural awareness, bringing families to the table, showing them the ease of putting together a home-cooked meal that's fast, doesn't have to be processed food. And finally, the power of sitting down to a home-cooked meal reaches far beyond the food that's on the table. I encourage everyone to eat together, cook together, eat together, make new traditions. If you'd like to join my email list, all you have to do is text the word cooking to the number 22828. It'll ask you, what your email address is, and then you'll see where I am and what I'm doing, events coming up. The QR codes that are on the back of, I already told you about those. The QR codes, this one brought you to YouTube, that one brings you to my website. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. So come on over to my social media, like me, subscribe. It's fun. I just started that YouTube channel. There's mostly sweet things on there right now, but actually by tomorrow there's going to be another, there's going to be one that's for Cinco de Mayo, so check back. Homemade cinnamon chips with a tropical fruit salsa. So there's my PAL, and my W got a little covered up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make that line better. Next, I'm going to move on to Bam. Alright. Bam, I'm going to make a blue background. You're getting the idea of this, right? The biggest thing is to do that outline work that I told you about. If you can make them 2 colors, or you can make them 3. So I'm going to go with 3 colors, and I'm going to outline the cookie after, at the end. I'm going to outline it. That was the other thing too. Some of these cookie cutters, it was a double cut. So some of them, it doesn't show an outline, but that's okay. You could just make one yourself. I don't have to follow those lines. If you're in Nassau County, I'm in lots of libraries throughout the county. I'm in Floral Park, New Hyde Park. I have some things coming up in Oceanside, Shelter Rock Library, Manhasset Library. Go to Elmont, North Belmore, Merrick, Seaford. And you can definitely go back and do any touch-up. Bam! just going to show you Pal. I'm going to outline the whole cookie. I don't know if I'm going to have enough. Key to the outline is make sure you get those points. See, I came off like this when I did it to the point. When you get to the end, keep pushing it down a little bit. You could give it a little twist. That gives you a little, whoopsie, a little more control. Pow. Pow is done. Alright, Superman is done. I just got a little red on him. It didn't belong there. Fantastic. I'm going to pick it up with this. These icings are good for a week or so, a week and a half in the refrigerator. Not in the refrigerator. Superman. It's just all about the patience, having patience. Taking our time. Enjoying it. Enjoying what I'm doing. I love doing this. Oh, so take pictures too. When you finish all of them, take pictures and send them to me. My email address is julie@chefsofthefuture.com. I'd love to see them. Alright. This is very therapeutic for me. It really makes me relax a lot. And I just don't do sweet classes. I do savory classes. As I said, I'm going to be posting for Cinco de Mayo. Chips and salsa. I like to do homemade pizza. Maybe one day I could see you on Zoom because I do classes on Zoom. And splat. I'm kind of rushing mine. I'm not waiting for them to dry. I'm getting a little smudgy. But I love them in 3 colors. These are really big cookies too. Splat is done. Alright, and just bam. So here, bam, the outline is kind of not in sync with everything else. I'm just going to make my own outline. I might go over some of the blue sections as I'm doing it. I have a lot of cookie here and no cookie there. So you just go over the blue. The whole trick to this is having, my hands are shaking right now, but having that steady hand and keep it moving makes your lines even. And bam is done too. And there we go, my friends. So with love and creativity, keep cooking together, making new traditions. And I hope to see you in a live program soon. Thank you so much, everybody.